What's up, everybody? My name is AustYn with the Sports Chief, a website who covers pretty much everything from sports and entertainment. For those of you who do not know, but we also cover NASCAR DFS. So if you're looking for some DraftKings help, things like that, you've come to the right spot. So we've been doing this pretty much year round since the Daytona 500. I maybe skipped a couple races here and there, but we're winding down with the NASCAR season. So we got 3 races left, including this one, the AAA Texas 500 at Texas Motor Speedway. Mile-and-a-half track, high speeds, of course, and it's going to be an exciting one, hopefully. The winner of this race will advance to the Final Four, unless it's Martin Truex, and then, Martin Truex has already locked himself in. So he's one of the 4 drivers that will be racing at Homestead, Miami for the championship. So you're going to see, the 7 other drivers, of course, are going to be vying for that spot. But, of course, you got other drivers, that are going to spoil the fun, ruin the party, things like that. So looking at our DraftKings lineup this week, qualifying position is very key here at Texas Motor Speedway because it is a rather difficult track to pass at for the mile-and-a-half. Since NASCAR has changed the aero package, it has made it a little more difficult to pass at these kinds of tracks like Charlotte, Texas, Atlanta, things like that. And the mile-and-a-half tracks, I feel like us here at the Sports Chief, we tend to do pretty well at the mile-and-a-half tracks as far as the DFS perspective goes. So let's just go ahead and get this show on the road, and let's see how DraftKings set out our salaries for us. So if you look here, scrolling down here, Martin Truex is starting in 17th. With a salary of 11.5. Kyle Busch is starting in 12th with 11.2. Denny Hamlin starting in 3rd at a 10.8. Kevin Harvick got the pole, was the only driver above 189 miles an hour. Actually was like a full mile an hour faster than Eric Jones, who qualified 2nd. But Harvick is 10.4, and then Chase Elliott starting in 14th at 10.1. That rounds out our 10K guys. Then a couple more of our playoff guys here. Joey Logano starting in 11th at 9.8. Ryan Blaney starting in 15th at 9.4. Kyle Larson starting in 13th at 9.2. And yeah, that should round out our guys there. Yep, for sure. So looking at this here, going into this race, I already had a driver in mind, really, to pick for this track. And it's a guy who really dominates at mile-and-a-half. And he only dominates really when he's got that sounds weird, when he's got a fast car. So typically if his practice speeds are very fast, if he's very good on long runs, things of that nature, if he's at the top of the charts, I always look to pick him. And that driver is Kevin Harvick. So I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick this week. I know he's starting on the pole, but I do believe track position will be very vital for this race. And I like Harvick to lead a lot of laps and win this race. So we picked Denny Hamlin last week at Martinsville. He really led the first, 30 laps or so, and then Truex led from then on. So that's something to keep in mind. But I do think Harvick will take care of business here at Texas. He's very good here. He was 2nd in 10-lap averages in the first and second practice. And he's also got an average finish of 10.7 at Texas. He's just a good driver here, and I really like going with Harvick. I do think Truex and Kyle Busch will be chalk. Truex starting in 17th, I mean, that is one heck of a value for Truex, and he's liable to win the race for sure. But I'm not going that route. And Kyle Busch starting in 12th. I haven't seen the speed from Kyle this weekend to make me just want to jump on that train. Hamlin would be a good swap for sure, but I like Harvick better. Harvick was just blazing fast, it appeared. So picking Kevin Harvick, that gives us a little more breathing room than in the past with 10-4. Normally I'm up to 11K guys. So as I scroll down here, I like to kind of quickly review everything through here just to see, who jumps out at me. And while I'm scrolling through here, I'm like, whoop, there's one driver. Paul Menard is starting in 31st spot. And I know we picked him last week too, because he started really low. Paul Menard is driving, of course, for the Wood Brothers in a Penske-powered car. Starting in 31st, I mean, hey, if he gets a top 20, that's a lot of cars passed for sure. he would be my guy to pick, to pass a few cars here and there. I can't see him finishing 31st, especially if he's still got 4 tires underneath him and he's still going strong. That would just be very, very shocking to me. So I see Paul Menard, at least get in the top 25 for sure. And that's really all I need. So looking there, that did help us out on salary. He's at 7.3. So we'll just kind of scroll back up here to the top. It's going to be pretty difficult to get the guys pretty much Blaney and up. Blaney's probably affordable. Keselowski, things like that, is going to be a little more difficult, especially with, you want to pick as many drivers, of course, as you can that will win the race. But then again, you have to look into starting position as well and value. Paul Menard, I can guarantee you, will probably be 30-some% owned. Harvick might be in the 20s just because I do think a lot of people are probably thinking like I am, but we'll see. And another guy who I really like this weekend is Kurt Busch. He's starting in 4th spot. Kurt looked really quick in all the practices. He was 2nd, I want to say, in the first practice, and then he was 5th in happy hour. I could have those backwards, but he was very fast in those, and his 10-lap average speeds, 15 5-lap average speeds were pretty good. They were on par for top 10 for sure. So I like Kurt Busch in 4th. Kurt actually just extended with Chip Ganassi today. So he's got a little good mojo on his side. Now I could see Kurt getting a top 10 really easily here at Texas for sure. So I like Kurt there in 4th. Starting position, like I said, is king. And I do believe Kurt will hang with those guys up front. Now, that did hurt my salary a little bit. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and say that, like Clint Boyer, guys like him, Clint's going to be heavily owned, in my opinion. Starting in 24th, he had the fastest car in first practice, I believe. And then the 10-lap average speeds and stuff, he was just blistering the field. The Stewart-Haas guys really brought some fast pieces for sure. And I'm not going Clint. I'm just going to go ahead and do a spoiler there. I'm not going Clint because I did think Kurt was a little better value, being that I think Kurt could actually win the race too. I don't see Clint winning the race, and Clint has even said in the past that his mile-and-a-half, I don't want to say skill, but his mile-and-a-half performance has not been what he likes for sure. And I just don't like going Clint on the mile-and-a-halves too much unless it's just very obvious. If this happened to be the March, or whenever they run Texas, March or April, earlier on in the season, sorry about that, but I probably would go Clint, but not going in this week. Like I said, I'm going more of a tournament strategy for sure. I think Kurt will be a little lower owned. So scrolling down here, Ryan Newman's another attractive option that you can go with, but there is another guy who I had a few choices here. So looking here from Dylan down, 7K down, Daniel Hemrick looked really quick in practice, but he's starting in 16th. So if Daniel Hemrick was starting in 25th, I was going to pull the trigger on him. I just had a good feeling about him because he is racing for a ride next year. Stenhouse qualified too good to think about him. Chris Buescher was a guy that thought heavily on. He's starting in 20th spot. And as you can tell, Chris Buescher just is very consistent. He's got a 12th and a 13th in his last 2 starts. And it wouldn't be a terrible idea to go with Chris Buescher, for sure. But a guy I really like is Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece is starting in 28th spot. And he's also got 4 straight top 20 finishes. So I'm saving about $300 from him and Buescher. And performance-wise, I think the 47 team is picking up a little bit. And I think that Preece could get a top 20 fairly easily. He's kind of like Paul Menard there, where a lot of my top guys that I'm picking are going to be starting up front for sure. And hopefully these guys can kind of help bail me out a little bit. So I'm going Ryan Preece there in 28th, strictly off of their performance lately. And I feel pretty good about him getting a couple of positions passed for sure. So now that helps us out a lot on salary, $84.50. Oh, and by the way, another guy I really was interested in was Michael McDowell. Starting in 27th, he's starting in front of Preece, and that really did hurt me. I think if Preece would have qualified a little better, I would have went McDowell And McDowell's still not a bad option. He did get 15th here in the last Texas race. He had a little bit of speed though, leading up to the weekend, and this week it really didn't show. So I'm going to go with Ryan Preece. Excuse me. And then at 84.50, I'm going to look up towards the top here, and there's a car that there's practically two teams that I'm going with, like teammates here. So Kyle Larson starting in 13th spot. Kyle Larson was the fastest on a 20-lap run in happy hour. He ran 60-some laps in happy hour. He's racing for the championship. He wants to get into Homestead. And if he gets into Homestead and he's in that Final Four, that's his favorite track, and he's very, very lethal there for sure. So I'm going to go Kyle Larson. I think that he's going to race his way in. He would be my dark horse pick to win this race, for sure. He's shown a lot of speed. Chip Ganassi in general has shown speed, and him starting in 13th spot was like a Christmas present. It was just amazing to me to get him there at 13th. And I might be speaking a little too soon because Larson tends to let you down a little bit, but I think Larson will be well worth the pick here for this week. And that leaves me with $7,700 to spend. And if you look here, Matt DiBenedetto, excuse me, is at 7,600, and then Eric Almirola is at 7,500. Eric Almirola starting in 6th spot, was the fastest car in happy hour. Suarez starting in 7th. Those are really the only three options that I would even consider. Austin Dillon, speed-wise, I can't go that route at 21st. Eric Almirola is going to be my pick. Let me just go ahead and tell you. So Eric Almirola, the fastest car in happy hour. He also was very quick in long runs. Stuart Haas brought some good speed to this track. And I do like Eric Almirola starting in 6th. Now, do I think he'll get a top 5? Probably not. I think he's very likely to get a top 10, and that's fine with me. He's got really good speed in that car, and who knows, maybe he'll surprise people and do very well. So that's going to be my lineup there. So let's clean it up here. We got $200 left over remaining. So let's look here. Kevin Harvick is my pick to win this race. I think he can lead at least over 100 and some laps. He'll turn a lot of fast laps. Hopefully his pit crew can kind of keep him up there. And Harvick, I think that he'll advance himself to the Final Four. Also, Kyle Larson, 9,200. He would be my dark horse pick. He is my sleeper pick for sure. I do think Kyle will show up this week, and I think he'll have a very good race. Kurt Busch at 9, kind of the same deal. Kurt's got a fast car, so I'm going with him there at 9. Eric Almirola at 7,500. Hopefully, Eric can provide a good top 10 finish for us. Paul Menard starting in 31st at 7,300. Little pricey, just to be honest with you, but that position, it's not that pricey. His average point output, and that's another thing about like Clint Boyer. His average is 27.7. Almirola and Menard average more than that. Anyway, Matt DiBenedetto does. So anyway, just telling you why I'm going off Clint Boyer. And then Ryan Preece, 6,400. By the way, Michael McDowell's not a bad option, but I'm going with Ryan Preece. That's who we're going to roll out with here at the Sports Chief. So hope this helped you a little bit making your lineups. The season's winding down. This has been a very fun thing for us to do here at the Sports Chief for sure. By the way, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave a comment. We'll try to help you out if you got any questions, things like that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I know NASCAR season's ending up here soon, but we plan on being very active. So also check out our Twitter page, Instagram at The Sports Chief, and also our website www.thesportschief.com. We cover everything sports related, entertainment, things of that nature. So a lot of stuff North Carolina based for sure. But, if you got any questions or anything like that, we'd love to talk to you, love to hear from you. That way we can make our site better and relate to the public more. So good luck to everyone in their DraftKings lineups. Hope you enjoyed the show, and have a good race weekend.